All right, good sir. Well, thanks for sitting down with me.
Hi, how you doing, Luke?
I'm doing good. How about you, Mr. Brendan?
Doing well.
Good, good. So, talking here today a little bit about DFS,
Yes.
Daily Fantasy Sports, the sensation that's sweeping the nation.
Oh yes,
So,
very fun.
yeah, we've all seen the ads. They spend a ton of money on that, kind of notorious. Can you tell us a little bit about Daily Fantasy and kind of what it's about?
Yeah, so most people would be familiar with the season-long fantasy sports, which is, you kind of draft your roster at the beginning of the year and then you make trades. Now, the daily fantasy sports is each day is a clean slate. You get to pick whatever players you want, so you can pick Clayton Kershaw, even though you didn't draft him, obviously, yada yada. And then the goal of it is to make an ideal lineup with one of each position player. And then there's some strategy involved because you need, each player has a salary, so you need to balance, do I want this guy who's more expensive, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good mix of my fandom of sports, my like of challenges, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Really
that seems to be the appeal. It's a little more unconventional than season-long.
Mhm.
If you have a bad draft in season-long fantasy, you're just kind of stuck for the season.
Out of the gates, right.
Yeah, exactly. But daily, you get to do something new every day,
It's
get a
a
new
new day.
team. So that's really cool. What is it about daily fantasy sports that kind of got you involved and interested in it, and kind of got you to be a player?
Yeah, well, kind of like how I mentioned towards the end of that last question there, I think it combines a lot of kind of the skills or the hobbies that I enjoy, which are challenges, kind of puzzles, because with the player salaries you gotta balance risk and reward and, trade-offs, things like that, which appeals to me as a finance student as well. And then also just my love of sports. I think DFS even adds to the thrill of watching a game, because if you have your guy up to bat, then you're like, oh, I want him to hit a home run, and it's more exciting. So I think it just adds a bit broader appeal to sports, which I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Fantasy sports have definitely made a lot more fans out of people that wouldn't normally watch, just because
exactly.
money on the line. You're kind of rooting for individual players. It's definitely really exciting.
Exactly.
So, obviously everyone knows that at daily fantasy sports, there's a bit of gambling that goes on.
Oh yes.
You have to invest some money, but you also get to win some. Would you say that overall you're in the green or in the red in your daily fantasy sports betting?
I'd say overall, there's these big sharks who, bet a ton and win a ton. I'm not one of those guys. I'd say overall I'm in the green though.
Good.
I think I'd say it's not easy. It's like, or everyone would be doing it. It's definitely a grind. You win some, you'll go on some losing streaks. I've been on some brutal ones, but I think mostly I have good support groups in place to help me out, to give me advice, and yeah, I'd say I'm mostly in the green. Nothing crazy like lots of money or anything, but I'd say overall,
Yeah.
in the green.
Definitely. That's good, dude. That's awesome. So, obviously, a lot of people have also heard about the litigation
Oh, yes,
that's
of
forming
course.
against DFS. A lot of states consider it an unregulated form of gambling, so it's been banned in a few. I know most notably New York.
Oh, yes.
What do you foresee
We were
happening in the
thinking that,
future of daily fantasy sports?
Well, my buddy Austin, the other day, he said that DFS was kind of coming to the chopping block in Colorado. So
Oh, Jesus.
we'll have to see where that progresses.
Oh no.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think at the end of the day, coming from the government's perspective, as terrible it is, like to have Big Brother watching over your shoulder, it is an unregulated gambling industry that makes people tons of money, but the government's not necessarily getting their share, so they want in. And then so aside from that, there's kind of the whole is it legal, is it gambling, is it a skill game versus is it a game of luck? And I guess my comment on that would be, I'd say it's a little bit of both. Where the luck comes in is there's just lots of variance that can happen in baseball. Like you could pick the best hitter with the best matchup, but he could still strike out all the time. So that's where the luck would come in. But on the same side, I'd say it's a skill game because of the research and all the process and all the talking you can do about lineup construction. So I don't know. I think it's it's scary, honestly, to me as a DFS player, but I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Definitely. The one thing that I know a lot of people kind of rallied behind as far as keeping DFS legal is if it was true gambling, the same people wouldn't always win. Even though there obviously is luck, there's certain people that just know how to hit the values, know how to make the plays, and just win every time.
Right.
So. Anyways, sir, it was good talking to you this evening.
Good discussion there. Thank you.
It was good sitting down with you, hearing a little bit more about DFS. So
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Glad to share. Thanks.